You are just logging into Guild Wars 2 for the first time, and you are immediately greeted with the character creation screen. Picking the class that you play in an MMO is immensely important, as it dictates how your entire journey will be guided through the rest of the world. So, which do you choose? You can easily start second guessing yourself. What if you pick the wrong one? What if it's not fun? Well, that's where I'm looking to help you out. These are the most beginner-friendly classes in Guild Wars 2. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Guild Wars 2 content. So just some notes here before we begin. First of all is that Guild Wars 2 is incredibly alt-friendly, meaning that it's really easy to have a bunch of characters. You won't make a mistake that can't be fixed. Second, if you are more the let me see the gameplay, then choose type of player, I know I am at least, you can create a character, finish the initial story mission, and then enter into the PvP lobby. This will allow you to test out the full capabilities of your class without putting tons of hours into the game. This is an important note as well. If you own expansions, they also feature the elite specializations here. You can use them in the PvP lobby too. Lastly, you should know that if any of the classes I pick on this list are not interesting to you, I 1000% recommend that you simply just choose the one that you think looks the most fun. Anyway, let's get to this list. Without a doubt, the Guardian is going to be my best recommendation for a beginner. The Guardian is naturally tough, but they really gain their strength from the crazy amount of protective abilities that they have at their disposal. Their passive grants them Aegis, which blocks the next incoming attack. They gain protection often, which reduces incoming damage by 33%. Not to mention that they heal passively, as well as can cleanse negative conditions frequently from a number of abilities. These benefits are essentially built into the class, and they're very simple to understand, allowing players to focus on all the other information that Guild Wars 2 throws at them. The Guardians really have a bunch of versatility when it comes to their playstyle. You can roll a great sword and deal a ton of melee damage, or they can use a staff and be more support oriented. Honestly, you can do a combination of both and still be successful. The Guardian really can play all different sides of the game and still be wildly capable, including even being a hybrid style damage and healing class. The biggest boon from this self-sufficiency is for dealing with the open world, where many players will be spending the majority of their first 100 hours here in Guild Wars 2. You can sustain and protect yourself while just absolutely obliterating. It's a win-win. The last major feature I would lean on for the Guardian is the skill ceiling. While it can have a very high skill ceiling to master, it's quite easy to simply understand and get the baseline capabilities, where you feel powerful almost right from the start. Not to mention that the Guardian shield abilities is one of my favorite animations in the game, but that's neither here nor there. Looking down the line, you can also have some really awesome elite specializations that you can unlock if you purchase the expansions that add in unique spins to the already well-rounded class. So maybe the stereotypical knight in shining armor isn't your speed. That's okay. The next pick goes to the complete opposite direction as the Necromancer. The Necromancer is one of the OG classes from the original Guild Wars game, but it has a lot going on for it for the new player experience. The Necromancer is basically the master of death. They summon undead minions, curse enemies, and quite literally go into a shadowy death mode that is honestly super satisfying. The Necromancer's biggest selling point for new players is its capabilities for survival, and it's actually insane. It comes from two places. First, they have the highest base health pool out of any light armor class in the game. Light armor classes being the Necromancer, the Elementalist, and the Mesmer. Second, and most importantly, is their profession mechanic in the Death Shroud. As you are in combat using skills and abilities, you build up life force. At any point, you can activate Death Shroud, which doubles as a second health bar and can deal immense amount of damage. This allows you to take a beating without actually being in true danger. Honestly, that right there could make them the #1 pick for being the most forgiving class for new players. Another strength for Necromancers is their solo capabilities. Necromancers quite literally never have to worry about being solo because they really aren't solo. They can field a small army of undead minions, which basically acts as your meat shield. Leveling becomes simplified because the enemies are too distracted attacking them rather than you, allowing you to cast all of your spells and damage from afar without fear of dying. I would also like to make the note as down the line the elite specializations from the expansions. I speak for many different veterans and myself and new players alike when I say that the Reaper, the elite specialization from Heart of Thorns for the Necromancer, is without a doubt one of the most loved specs in the game. Your Death Shroud turns into Reaper Shroud, which deals incredibly high damage versus the standard shroud. And you also wield a giant, massive scythe that turns you into a whirlwind of death. Again, it's one of my favorite specs. My final recommendation for the top 3 is going to be a great choice if you like that traditional MMO archer/ranger gameplay, and of course that class is the ranger. This ranger can wield many different weapons, but it's at home and the strongest in my opinion with the longbow. This paired with their profession mechanic of the animal companion, they are quite literally built to handle any challenges out in leveling and in the open world perfectly. The ranger's pet is honestly the single biggest advantage. Similar to that of the necromancer and their undead minions, the ranger's pet can tank enemies and hold their attention while you pepper them from a distance using the longbow. But it does something a bit deeper. This allows you to observe combat and enemy movement from a safe distance, allowing you to learn movesets, skills, and timing without really putting yourself in immediate danger. Not to mention that you can tame a wide variety of animals across Tyria, from wolves to bears to, even siege turtles. The ranger is honestly an incredibly straightforward class, and there's really usually no fast combinations or keybinds that you will need to master to play the class at a baseline. This also makes the ranger super self-reliant and arguably one of the best at it. My very first character that I leveled to max was actually a ranger, and I loved every step of it. The truth of the matter is that the ranger may be the best solo adventure class in the game. This then changes further and leans more into nature if you start looking at the elite specializations down the road, such as the druid, which makes you a very powerful support class, or merge with your pet to be the soul beast. There's so many different ways that the ranger can play that you will quite literally never be bored. Okay, so what about the other classes? While my top 3 are what I would suggest for the smoothest start, every single class in Guild Wars 2 is viable and fun, so here's a quick rundown of the rest. The warrior is your classic melee fighter. It's another heavy armor class that's very straightforward. It has a ton of health and a lot of offense and big adrenaline-fueled burst attacks. It's a solid choice, but I find that the guardian just offers a bit more defensive utility for a totally new player. The thief is all about stealth and mobility and huge single target damage. They are masters of evasion, but they are a lot less forgiving if you get caught. If you love the high risk, high reward playstyle, the thief can be a blast, but it demands more precise timing. The mesmer is a light armor caster who fights with illusions and pure trickery. Their playstyle is super unique and can be confusing for beginners, since you're managing your clones while also casting your own spells. They're incredibly rewarding for creative players, but definitely a steeper learning curve. The Revenant is a heavy armor class that channels legends from the past. Their resource system is unique and not as intuitive as the other classes. They're a fantastic class, of course, but their mechanics might feel a little bit abstract for someone who is just starting out. Finally, we have the 2 classes that I usually tell new players to save for a second character, which is the Engineer and the Elementalist. The Engineer relies on a huge array of turrets, gadgets, special weapon kits that you're constantly swapping between. This means that a massive number of skills are available to you at one time, which can kind of be overwhelming to manage. The Elementalist wields the power of fire, water, air, and earth. They swap between these elements, which change their entire weapon skill bar on the fly. This gives them access to an insane amount of skills, but it also makes them incredibly complex and difficult to play well. They have a very low health pool, meaning mistakes are punished hard. Both the Engineer and the Elementalist are amazing in the hands of an experienced player, but their complexity can lead to early frustration for a newcomer. So, to recap, if you are a new player, I'd recommend the Guardian, the Necromancer, or the Ranger as your first picks. The Guardian is your basic Holy Knight, Necromancer is the Master of the Dark Arts, and the Ranger is your classic adventurer with a loyal pet. I must stress this again, the best class is always going to be the one that you find the most fun. Every single profession is capable of beating all the game's content, so don't be afraid to experiment. That's the beauty of Guild Wars 2. You have the capability to express your creative freedom basically any way you want. Now that I've covered this, what class do you think you're going to pick? Tell me in the comment section down below. Did you agree with my top 3? Or would you make an argument for another profession? Also, if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe to the channel. If you have made your first choice for character, but you are suddenly lost with all that the game has to offer, click this video here to see the complete 2025 Beginner's Guide to Guild Wars 2. As always, stay caffeinated, folks.